Hi everybody, and welcome to my first official pick a card reading. My name is Jack, and I have been a tarot reader for several years now, but I'm finally taking the leap into this venture, and I'm hoping that you'll join me. I'm just gonna talk a little bit as I shuffle and prep these decks. So yesterday I filmed my first pick a card reading and it went so good, but the sound quality and video quality were horrendous. So I'm doing it again today in hopes that I'll have something that I can be proud to put out, confident in putting out, maybe is how I should put it. Because, yeah, while the readings yesterday were good, and I really wish I could share them, there were a lot of choppy moments in the video and everything. But anyways, I'll just give you some background on myself. I'm Métis, identify as Métis. Wasn't raised in my culture, but I'm always getting back to it as much as I can. And I'm Métis on my dad's side. I'm white as heck on my mom's side. And yeah. So if you're not familiar with pick a card readings, basically the process is whatever the reading contains, try to use your intuition and identify what resonates most with you, because these are group readings. It's not going to be for everyone. The same message will not apply to every single person watching this video. I think that's quite unrealistic. Not the most flexible, I guess is the word. And yeah, just not realistic for everyone to have the same thing. Although, and this will be in another video, I have a belief that certain people are from similar energy families, and that's why you'll meet people who remind you of another person. So yeah, hopefully that's not too confusing of an intro. Because I acknowledge I do actually have ADHD, so I can be a bit scattered at times, but I hope you'll be patient with me. So I think we can get started now. Basically, the theme of this reading is what will the theme be? I should probably have figured this out first. What are your greatest healing abilities? How about that? I like that. I believe that everyone has the capacity and the ability to heal others in their own unique, special way. And it's really just a matter of honing in on those things and seeing what fits and works best for you and your talents and your gifts to help your own personal growth, but the personal growth of yourself and also the rebalancing of the energies in the universe. Super simple, right? No pressure at all. Yeah. So anyways, feel free to take a moment. I'll probably wait like 30 seconds to just choose a card. Sometimes what'll happen to me is I'll actually just visualize. I'll be like, okay, I need to choose a card, and then my guides will give me a number. So some people can do that, but other people it'll just be like a feeling or your intuition guiding you. So feel free to do that. And once you're ready, we will get started. And timestamps are in the description, as well as the decks that I'm using and the authors of said decks. And I will be taking suggestions for future topics and that sort of thing. Okay, well, I think we're good to go. So group number 1. What are your greatest healing abilities in this lifetime? And I specify this lifetime because I believe that everyone has multiple lifetimes and brings past karma into future lives that they can rebalance and refine or let go of, that sort of thing. So anyways, let's just get started. So group number 1, what are your healing abilities? Okay, I see you seem like an introvert and someone who's really deeply connected to emotion, someone who seeks stability, someone who's hardworking. Because we've got the 8 of Pentacles, the 5 of Pentacles, and the King of Cups. So I want to focus on the 5 of Pentacles. So what I see is a person and they're sort of like sitting down, their head in their hands, and things are looking pretty rough. There's some spiky vines starting to wrap around them. So there's like a feeling of isolation. There's a feeling of turmoil, I would say, but there's still a lot of hope, just given the coloring of the card. And also there's like a little butterfly trying to approach the person. Here, I'll just show you. Hopefully you can see. Come on. Why? Okay, my autofocus is clearly not cooperating. But anyways, and then also similar to the butterfly, you'll see like this King of Cups. There we go. He's looking directly at this little seahorse. So there's that one-on-one interaction there that I think you really, it really agrees with your gifts. So I would say like one-on-one counseling, conversations, really in an intimate sort of setting where there's no distractions around, there's no one interrupting, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think you just have a good ability to create a really stable environment around you, and that's what draws people to your healing gifts. Or at least, because spider webs are very strong, all things considered, like the fact that the web can be just torn down right away by someone bigger than a spider or something bigger than a spider. There's like some element of fragility there, but I think that might be translated to vulnerability instead. So there's like this strength and vulnerability. Yes, that's really resonating with me right now. And I think that's what you bring to the table for other people. People see you're working hard, you're putting your efforts forward, and you do it in a way where people might look at you and say, oh my gosh, like you are just like all cards on the table, no holds barred, 110% yourself always, authentic to a fault. And people are drawn to that, but in a way where they want to connect with you on a one-to-one basis. And so I would say it's not so much like friends, so much as sort of people you just come across in life. Like a butterfly, someone just floating through your life, or a seahorse just happening to come across you, that sort of thing. And in the King of Cups card, there's also the sea turtles. So with turtles, they represent truth for me. And there's a variety of symbolism regarding turtles. for various people, but for me it's definitely like they're related to truth, emotion because of their connection to the moon, um, to water, that sort of thing. But they're also very old. Like turtles can become very old, and so there's that like that wisdom that comes with the truth that they bring. So I think you have those elements too, where you will talk to people one on one and they'll really get the sense that you have a good grasp on what it means to live through difficulty and what it means to have a rough time, but also how to sort of flow or swim through it all with grace and wisdom at the once you're on the other side of the difficulty. Yeah. Yeah, I get this, and also I think there's something to do with like water, because all of these cards, it could just be the artistry of the deck, but there's so many swirls in all of these cards. And whenever I think of swirls, I think of like cycles of waves crashing, that sort of thing. So you might incorporate water in your healing when dealing with people. Um, like maybe you're a home care worker who works with elderly people and you give those elderly people baths, or you work in the health sector and you're doing that with like emergency patients or patients who are in the hospital long term, that sort of thing. Yeah, cool. Okay. So this card is going to be how people overall view your healing abilities and what like attracts them to you. Oh. So Dakini, the enlightened feminine. My gut instinct is wise beyond reason. I trust my intuition to guide me. So yeah, basically confirmation to what I was saying before. People are going to see you in this very enlightened way. They're going to look at you and be like, oh wow, this person has lived a lot. They have a lot of experience. They have a lot of wisdom to share. And it's in a way where it's not overbearing or preachy. It's just very comforting and done in a way where people just trust that you're telling them the truth and you're giving them the best of yourself and your healing. And this is sort of advice for you in the upcoming days. So the goose, I've gotten this card a number of times when I picked cards for myself recently, and I've been taking a break. But it says, take time to rest and recuperate rather than continuing your striving. So I think this applies to now, but also just throughout your practice. Like I said earlier, there's like a lot of swirling, there's a lot of waves, a lot of water and movement. Just sort of go with the flow, if that makes sense, with your healing gifts, and let things come as they may, and don't try to push things because it just won't work out the way that you want to. It won't be the same. If you just let your healing abilities flow and come to you naturally and develop through persistent and dedicated work, but you don't try to force it, you don't try to fake it, that's how your abilities will best manifest, and that's how you'll best be able to recharge your batteries when you need to just take a second and breathe. Because if you force it, you may actually lead people astray, is sort of what I'm being told. And that's dangerous, and I know you don't want that. For some reason, the word Cannonball is coming up. Maybe it's like the Damien Rice song. So maybe that might be a song that resonates with you, and maybe you'll find a message in there. I actually do a lot of my own personal healing work with myself through song and music. and songs will find me sort of when I need them the most. So yeah, check out that song. I'll put a link in the description for your group. But I think that's about it for now. All right, see you later, group 1. Okay, group 2. Let's see what we got. Okay, so what are your healing abilities? Ooh. You're a truth seeker. And you're very observant. So when you apply your healing abilities, you do so in a way where you have the foresight and taken time to think about what you're going to do and what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and to whom you're going to say it. And once you do, there's actually typically a platform upon which you can say what you need to. Because here with the Judgment card, there's the larger person, but then there's also all these, like this crowd of people here among the poppies and everything. And also I'll say poppies, there's butterflies and poppies. So when I think of poppies, I think of like Remembrance Day, which might sound cheesy, but it's true. So I think there's, within your healing abilities, you remember where you've come from and in order to know where you're going and in order to transform similar to the way that a butterfly transforms and sort of floats off into the ether. And also what's interesting is in all these cards, there's sort of like this upward movement. So it's like you are on a path of ascension almost, which is really cool. The Two of Wands, whenever I think of the Two of Wands, I think of waiting. So like I said earlier, you're someone who's very observant. You just sort of take your time and you don't rush into things. You wait it out. And it serves you well because it allows you to just mull things over, and it does your soul good to not just rush into anything. And then the Nine of Cups. So whenever I come across the Nine of Cups, it's like a completion card. It's a wish fulfillment card. But what's interesting with this card here is I don't get that. I sort of see this person surrounded by so many different fish, but they're all looking in a different direction than this one person. So I feel like you probably use your healing abilities to see the things that other people don't catch right away. And then you're able to bring it out into the open to benefit everyone. And you do it in a way that's fair and not vindictive and not underhanded. You do it in a way where you're acknowledging that this is something your ancestors have maybe asked you to do, your community has asked you to do, and charge you with a role that involves this sort of work. Yeah, okay. So how do others view your healing abilities? Oh, I love this. Okay. The Diamond-Hearted Dakini. I see the light in my own darkness. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. So I don't know if you see this, but it's sort of like, see, like there's all this darkness, but then all these fish and this person are bringing light to the situation. So I see that in this card. So people will be looking to you to acknowledge the duality of humanity and to bring truth and light to the fact that wherever there's good, there's bad, and everyone has choices to make in terms of how much light they will choose to focus on within themselves or how much dark, and how those two things balance. And what that will ultimately bring to the world, your community, and the universe at large. That's some pretty powerful shit, guys. Okay, and so some advice. The gorilla. So take time to listen compassionately to those you love, especially your family members. Whew. So I can see where this is coming from, because if you're someone who's constantly watching, constantly searching, and delivering messages, you may not necessarily be listening all too often. And that might impede how you connect with others. When this card says family members, I don't mean blood relations necessarily. I mean biological and chosen family. And also soul family. People, so ancestors that might have passed on but are still with you, guides that are on your journey with you, astral beings, whoever you carry with you on your soul's journey, that sort of thing. And whoever's supporting you through this lifetime. And I'm also getting the fact that you should listen compassionately to yourself and sort of go beyond this idea that seeing is believing. And that's it. And the idea that I will only talk about or tell the truth about things that I believe in or can tangibly see. Because really there's a lot of truth in the universe that we can't see, that isn't immediately in front of us. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk about it or that you can't speak on it. Oftentimes, that kind of truth is the kind everyone needs the most, because it's this physical manifestation of our existence. It makes it too obvious, sort of, to only see things in a 3D way. You have to go beyond that in order for your healing abilities to best manifest and be used. And that will take you to sort of a next level of ascension. And that's all I'm getting. Yeah. Deck number 3. Oh yeah, I like to sing a lot, in case you haven't noticed. Okay, what are your healing abilities? Ooh. Oh, shit. Okay. I definitely see, like, Phoenix vibes. So you just like, burning everything down, building it back up with gusto and passion. I see a lot of swift movement, unexpected. I think your healing comes from impulse. It's sort of like whenever you access your healing powers, it's almost like a flash of divine intervention that you aren't expecting. And you best access it when you don't try to control it. Sort of like, I think, group number 1, I said. You just need to, they were more go with the flow, but you are more go where the wind takes you. Gone with the wind, if you will. Yeah, there's so much yellow here. So that might be a color that really resonates with you. We have the Tower. So there's lightning, electricity, and then we have the King of Wands, which is fire, and the Eight of Wands. So there's a lot of light. So you're probably a light worker of some kind. Let's see what else. I can see you working with runes, actually. sort of very like pagan Wiccan based type healing, which is interesting because normally I'd associate that with earth, the pentacles, but here I just get it so much. Like sort of like I get hedge witch vibes. Yeah, I think also you'll probably have familiars that are either fox-like or cat-like. I can also see a connection to weather, so maybe you are able to, you're like psychic in that your abilities connect with the weather. So if it's stormy out, if there's lightning, if there's huge gusty winds, that sort of thing, you feel a lot more spiritually grounded when that's happening. I also get like adolescent kind of vibes. So I think maybe like you might work with youth in some form of healing setting or service provision, that sort of thing. In spaces where you can be creative and sort of throw ideas to the wind and see which ones land and take root. Yeah. Okay, how others see your healing gifts. Let's see. Embodiment is the deepest bliss. My body was made for enlightenment. Okay, interesting. So now that I see that, you may have actually been struck by lightning at some point, or like literally, and that may have triggered some sort of abilities within you. But yeah, like this idea of being in your body, like lots of movement, being grounded in your practice, in your creative practice. And also I feel like adolescence, I'm going to come back to that now. Adolescence is the time where you are hyper aware of your body because you're going through so many different changes physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You're finally starting to figure out who exactly you are and how you fit. You may, and based off this card, you may also do like Reiki or that sort of thing. Not, or body work. And that probably meshes well with your healing abilities. Like you have a lot going on here. Like there's just so much activity in these cards. So you're the type of person like sort of like a jack of all trades, but it's reliant on sort of like this external push. So it's not necessarily that you're going to be a self-starter. It'll sort of just like happen. And once it happens, you're like, okay, let's do this. Let's get it done. And your healing abilities will sort of just take over. And you'll be able to access them in the moment. Could be like a first responder type job too. That would be beneficial. Yeah, lots of stuff. Huh. Okay. So advice for your healing abilities / near future. There's something out of balance in your life, so do whatever you need to do to correct it. So this makes sense, I think, because here I see a much more physical presence rather than a mental or an emotional. So I think you're the type of person you might not take the time to sit down and contemplate things. and contemplate your abilities. You sort of just like, something happens and then you do it and then you're like, okay, on to the next thing. But in order to fully access your abilities, you'll have to sort of hunker down every once in a while and sit and think, okay, what do I need to feel balanced? So that I'm not just in a reactive mode, but more so a proactive mode. And I can help people regardless of whether or not the universe is just throwing curveballs at me. And that sort of thing. I just got the song SOS by Rihanna in my head, so that might be relevant to you. Interesting. Group number 4. Shouldn't look at that right away. Okay, your healing abilities. Oh goodness. Oh boy. Oh, many swords. Difficult swords, too. I feel like your healing abilities include astral projection. Just based on this sort of like the swan and the hummingbird here. Sort of like that. I just get like out of body experience vibes. Oh. This can also include dissociation if you've been traumatized too. I'll be totally honest with you guys, group 4, you folks. Right now it seems like you need to focus on it's not so much that you're so bogged down with the need to heal yourself that you don't have access to your healing abilities just yet. I get the sense that you're in like a very oh god, what's the word? You're like at the beginning of your journey. Because the Knight of Wands is not a very developed or matured court card. It's very sort of happy-go-lucky, bouncing around from project to project to project, or person to person to person, or feeling or passion, that sort of thing. There's not much focus there. And in this card, the Knight of Wands actually seems very proud. So there's like a lot of, yeah, just that like young, proud feeling of, yeah, I'm growing up. The world can't touch me and can't tell me shit. That sort of thing. Which I find interesting. And then there's the 9 of Swords. Is definitely like this person is just longing to be free. And they have a sword, but and the sword doesn't look very heavy, but it actually looks like they're just clinging to something that isn't serving them, and it's preventing them from flying away into the light. Because they just are clinging to this object / idea / habit. And it's keeping them down. It's keeping you down. And so you might have developed your healing gifts by dissociating, like I said earlier, or astral projecting, or daydreaming, or wishing and yearning for something different. But I'll be honest, I don't see much opportunity, like, this is not a point of sharing for you in your life right now, at this time. This is more so an indication that you have a lot of inner work to do first. And so this is how other people view your healing abilities. So I have the power to make each moment sacred. Everything is material for my liberation. Which is interesting because the Eight of Swords is all about feeling trapped. And even in this card, there's just this feeling of not moving forward and feeling stuck. And I think you're doing it to yourself, unfortunately. And I really relate to that, actually. I'm someone who suffers a lot from self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, that whole plethora of ego-based thinking that we've been indoctrinated to absorb and internalize within our spirits. So really, you're going to find that once you start liberating yourself from these toxic thoughts or thinking patterns, when you start letting go of your pride, when you start letting go of fear, your healing powers will start to manifest a lot more, and you'll have a better idea of what those actually look like. Now, advice, overall energy, your healing powers. The honeybee, let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority in this situation. So you have to learn how to forgive yourself for sabotaging yourself in your journey to figuring out your healing powers, your own personal healing, that sort of thing. Because that's what you need most. There's so much isolation and sort of like this facade of being okay, being on top of the world, that there hasn't been much room made for other people to approach you and offer their support and give you the opportunity to actually figure your shit out and where you fit in this world. But I think once you do start showing yourself more compassion and forgiveness, not just for yourself, but even the situation you find yourself in, or the people around you who may have contributed to your situation that you're now in. Acknowledging that, okay, everyone has their baggage, and taking a stance of no excuses, but lots of explanations. And just meeting with people where they're at in their growth and saying, okay, you are human. I know you're not perfect. This situation isn't perfect. And I have boundaries, but I still love you. And I'm going to show myself love too, in whatever ways I need most. That's what I'm getting. And for you, I'm getting the song Falling Slowly by Glen Hansard and Marketa Irglova. I think that's how I pronounce it. From the movie Once, and that's one of my favorite songs, but not biased whatsoever, right? But check that song out. So thanks for stopping by. Again, please click like. Feel free to subscribe if you want to support your local Métis witch, or not so local if you're watching from somewhere else. But yeah, thanks again, and I will see you next video. Bye.